We're the Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce.
Go!
Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go. Try saying that 3 times fast. Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go. Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go. Super Robot... Nope. So Jetix. During the rise of anime in the West with the whole 4Kids thing, and alongside the popularity of Teen Titans, we were seeing animation studios making quasi-American, quasi-Japanese, or quasi-Canadian, quasi-Japanese shows. But while Cartoon Network had Teen Titans, Jetix had Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go.
Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go! Come on with us, let's go!
The show aired in 4:3 aspect ratio because, well, probably because people were still transitioning between 4:3 and 16:9, but the show was actually made in 16:9 and also aired on Disney XD, which is the footage I'm gonna be using. So what's the premise? Boy finds robot. There's robot monkeys inside. He becomes their leader. Now they defend a city. You think I'm joking? But that's literally it. Also, there's a skeleton king that wants to destroy them. Do they tell you why? Sort of, not really. But we need a bad guy, so here he is. World conquest, maybe? I wasn't paying attention. And the first episode isn't even anything that directly ties in with that idea. It's Cheeto dating a girl he likes. Oh wait, I spoke too soon. Turns out his girlfriend is a robot that's being manipulated by the Skeleton King. Wow, a serious 180 right there. And of course, the only way to settle the differences is through a giant robot fight. Of course, they went on one date, and that's supposed to be enough to get through to her. Guys, I'm no expert at relationships, but I think you're going too fast. So Jinmei, the girlfriend, and Cheeto says their goodbyes, and Jinmei flies off to figure out who she is and where she came from. But guys, I don't care about Cheeto yet. I don't know the main character yet. This is the first episode. I don't care about any of the characters yet. This is the worst idea for a first episode. Who the hell was in charge of this? I can't get over how this show is dubbed. Watching how the mouth movements almost never line up with what they're saying makes me torn between thinking that dubbing during this time just wasn't good, or if it's intentional and they're trying to make it look like it's an old Godzilla movie.
Of course. Who would fight when they could not fight?
If I had to guess, since this show is both an American and Japanese production, they probably made the mouth movements as vague as possible to make dubbing easier, but still it looks wonky to me.
Pretty hard to be the only girl on the team, isn't it?
Not when you look like me. Not when you look like me.
More importantly, can we talk about the design of their giant robot? I wasn't expecting Weta Workshop to come in and design them, but I expected more than this. Oh man, I just realized. Cheeto looks like he's supposed to be an edgier version of Astro Boy, except he looks like he was designed to be a Whataburger toy.
Multiple threats detected.
Hey, it worked! Just testing it.
I didn't edit this footage. They literally just reversed that clip and had the missiles rewind in time. You're gonna find small little gems like that all over this show. Every episode is the typical one-shot formula, but every once in a while, the Skeleton King will recruit one of Cheeto's enemies, and they sometimes make a comeback in later episodes. So, you guys remember Jinmei? I just talked about her a few seconds ago. Yeah, she comes back to Earth completely wrecked, talking about how the Supreme Destructor is coming.
Jiro, he's coming.
They manage to find the Supreme Destructor pretty fast, and they pick a fight with it. They decide to hide Chiro because the Supreme Destructor is just after him, but Chiro does a switcheroo and now he has to fight the Supreme Destructor all on his own, and then they drop this.
Our first encounter. It was no accident that you found us.
Of course it was. I wandered into the robot, woke you guys up. The rest is history.
No, Chiro. You were destined to find us. You are the chosen one.
Turns out the Supreme Destructor is the predecessor of Chiro, the previous guy that held the Power Primate, some old monkey that's a bad guy now. He's not that interesting, actually. So Chiro levels up with the power of friendship and now has an avatar. Jiro beats the Mandarin, his predecessor, then another one of the Skeleton King's lackeys brainwashes the monkeys and blows up their robot. Sort of. And now the team is in the hands of Big Bad Guy. So Jiro breaks into the Big Bad Guy's ship. Also Gibson, he survived, so that's cool. They manage to find Jinmei, so that's convenient. And she starts helping Jiro out. Also, turns out the robot monkeys can control the super robot with telepathy or something. I don't know, this was never explained, and I don't think this ever happens again in the show, like what the heck. So, Jiro and the monkeys beat up the Skeleton King and hightail it out of there, and his ship kinda crumbles apart. Very tragic, very sad. Except he has a bone dragon and flies away into space, because reasons. But then that gets beat up too, so it doesn't actually matter. We still don't really know how Cheeto is the chosen one. It would have been better if they just didn't add it at all. It served really no purpose. They were trying to do this big philosophical thing about like a great battle between good versus this ultimate evil, and how the Skeleton King was supposed to be like the incarnation of all things bad, but it was just some monkeys fighting a skeleton dude.
It must have been the distortion field. It shut down all the computers, even the ones in your brains.
Whoa, wait. If they have regular monkey brains, then they're not robots. They're cyborgs. You lied to me. There's this one dude that shows up while Jiro and the gang are stuck in the Dreamlands, this weird place that's basically projected by their minds. And this dude doesn't sound familiar at all. And there's nothing familiar about him.
You look familiar. Do I know you?
I'm a friend. One you'll need here in the Dreamlands.
And then a projection of Skeleton King appears, and they start fighting. The Skeleton King kills the totally not familiar new friend, oh well. And then he remembers that it's still a dream, so he's not actually dead. So they find a memory echo, and turns out their new dream friend is actually the guy who created the monkey team.
I created you to protect the universe from a great evil. Myself.
Oh no! No!
Oh my gosh, I totally didn't see this coming. That's so crazy. Okay, but for real, this was pretty cool.
Unleash the twins!
Holy sugazoom!
I'm Chira.
And I'm Teru.
And I have many questions. Turns out that Skeleton King ship literally has a mind of its own and is repairing itself because, quote unquote, evil will always exist. So these mystics who protect the power primate, the monkeys and Chiro's source of superpowers, basically succumb to the Skeleton King. And now Skeleton King has the power primate and has returned. Apparently, Skeleton King has a master. No, not him. So Atari grabs Skeleton King's intestines. Don't know why he had those exposed. Seemed like an obvious weak point, but whatever. And he falls into the ominous vortex where his master is awakening.
Awaken. Let the world shudder before its master.
Man, this show can be creepy sometimes. So Atari does a super cool self-sacrifice where he plunges into the evil goo. Also, his power primate isn't gone, apparently, even though they established it was supposed to be, but whatever. He gives Jiro the power primate back, basically fixes everything. It's kind of dumb. Then the robot goes sentient and somehow starts closing the hole in the ground and cuts the dark evil master. And then there's a giant floating head in the sky because gravity has no bearing on space worms. Also, the city is destroyed and Jiro is a monkey now. Then Jiro finds an alternate body for Atari and basically fixes him with upgrades. And then Jiro gives back the power primate, which turns him back to normal. Now, there's a new bad guy who wants to resurrect the Skeleton King because of course she does. Since Skeleton King is actually still alive, with what's basically an elder god, the team decides to leave Shugazum City in the hands of Jinmei and go to explore the cosmos. Wow. This actually feels like real development happened.
You two all right?
We've got to get out of here!
Why? What's going on?
Behind you?
You do not belong on this plane of existence. I am the being, the sentient. I am a part of all things in the macrocosm, as are all sentient entities. You must return to help restore balance to your universe.
They literally have God himself telling them that they're destined to save the universe. Holy crap, this show is killing me. They eventually fix explosives to the giant worm and blow it up. Is the Skeleton King finally defeated? You're correct! Honestly, I don't know why they bother with pretending like he's defeated at the end of every season if they're not actually going to finish him off. They managed to go back home and turns out everyone is weird specter people. Man, Jinmei really dropped the ball protecting the city. Turns out the Skull Witch lady is behind it. I was starting to think she wasn't actually gonna show up again. So the bad guys are trying to collect these crystals to resurrect the Skeleton King. They find the Crystal of Hate, and it basically brainwashes Sparks to join the bad guys. The bad guys go to resurrect the Skeleton King, but of course are interrupted. But the team does that whole, we're your friends, remember who we are, friendship thing, and he snaps out of it. Skeleton King comes back, but they call all of their friends they made over the seasons in order to help them fight against the Skeleton King. And that's it. I'm not joking. It ends there. They didn't get another season. Now, to be frank, I didn't like this show. A lot of the time, especially during the season finales, they would just randomly introduce new powers or new plot points that didn't actually have any bearing on the overall story. They were, in a sense, Deus Ex Machinas that were very convenient to fix the plot at that time, but was never really seen again, and it was just written off as the Power Primate and is it Atari or is it Antari? It has to be Antari, right? And the Black Monkey, who's like the mentor person, was always like, believe in the power of the Power Primate. And I'm like, okay, sure, a mysterious ominous power. I'm like, sure, that works with certain stories like The Force in Star Wars, but that's because there are kind of rules that are set in place. And, well, those rules were kind of broken a few times in the new trilogy. Never mind, that was a bad example. And they kept focusing on the idea of the chosen one, but there wasn't any substance to it. They didn't actually deliver on the concept. They just hyped it up and made it seem like something big was gonna happen when it was just the Skeleton King over and over again. Like, I thought something like really big was gonna happen with the big space worm thing, but they wrapped that up in a season finale really quick. Like, that should have been explored a lot more. My guess is that since this show was airing at the same time as Teen Titans, it was blatantly overshadowed by the obviously superior show. That, and because everyone saw how well organized and put together and how they were dropping little hints of actual development in Teen Titans, the actually good American-Japanese show, and they compared it to Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go, and saw how unorganized it was all over the place all the time, people just decided to watch a better show. Currently, right now, it's on Disney Plus and YouTube. I don't know why it's still on YouTube, but it is. Apparently, there's a dedicated fan base for this show. I don't know why, but there is. I do like how it was ripping off of some classical anime in terms of like the designs for some of the characters. Like, it looked, a lot of the characters in the background looked like Astro Boy, but it all felt like it was shallow, and the story in itself was just so mediocre, and that's putting it lightly. You know what? No, I'm done dancing around this. This show was bad. You can hate me in the comments. I don't care. If you have a good argument as to why this show is good, then go ahead and tell me. I'll listen. Why not? Otherwise, that's everything I have for this video. Remember that I have new merch. You can get this shirt yourself if you want it. If you know what it is. I mean, it was kind of popular for a little while there. I thought it was funny, but I have other shirts too. I also have a Patreon and a Twitter. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay beautiful and keep playing.